right, Chapter 7, The Crash, the End of the Fad, 1984. By the end of 1983, it was apparent that games were not earning as much as they once had been. Hundreds of developers were pumping out poor quality clones and rushing to market with shoddy games. These games flooded the market and failed to earn much money. At the same time, the home game market also crashed because of a glut of poor quality games. After years of chart-topping growth, the industry collapsed faster than anyone could have imagined. By 1984, the fad was over. Sales plummeted, massive layoffs hit. Many believed the video game industry was done and over and that the fad had run its course as people moved on to other forms of entertainment. During the rest of the 1980s, video games and the companies that made them struggled to survive. Arcades that had sprung up just a couple of years earlier closed, and many other venues removed their games in favor of products that could make more money. But arcade games left a lasting mark on the world of pop culture, a mark that still persists. Classic games such as Pac-Man, Frogger, Donkey Kong, Centipede, Robotron, and Dragon's Lair made permanent impressions in players' minds and continue to influence the development of games. The mention of a new form of entertainment rarely happens, and even though the market crashed hard in 1984, the arcade video game had too much appeal to just die quickly and fade away. So although business was difficult for the rest of the decade, it slowly came back and surged again in the 1990s. One of Atari's early successes, Centipede, spawned numerous clones. An iPhone-compatible version of Dragon Lair was launched in 2010. At the same time, the home gaming market also was dormant for a few years, but started growing rapidly in the late 1980s due to advances in cost reductions in the technology, as well as the introduction of the Nintendo Entertainment System. This success continued to open the market to more players, and by the late 1980s, the market was ready to take off again. History has shown that the games themselves may not, in fact, have been merely a fad. It was more likely that mainstream players grew tired of the hype and poor quality and moved on to other things, but the arcade game trend also created countless dedicated fans, and the market slowly returned. Today, the arcade market remains very small, with only a handful of new games released each year. Instead, the game market largely has moved to other venues, home consoles, internet, and mobile phones. Although small and relegated mainly to family fun centers or the occasional bar, the arcade video game market still survives and still puts a smile on the face of players everywhere. 2012, New York. It was a pretty good book. I think that they definitely did well with explaining the graphics of the game. It definitely is definitely is something that should be shared, in my opinion. So that's not how any of this is that you're reading right here.